Hey, so here we are. ABL Season 20 draft recap. I'm going to try to get this out quick. So I'm just going to have the music going in the background. Hopefully that level's not too loud. I'll bring it down just a little bit. Hopefully that's not too intrusive. If it is, sorry. We'll learn from these mistakes and we'll go forward. So let's talk about the draft and a little bit about week one. So we're going to start with the South. So changes to the South. Mitch elected not to return, so we had a couple of openings. Additionally, we had Drew and Zane from the South. They both went to the finals last season, so they got called up to the North. On the flip side, we had Pap and Dakota. They both dropped down to the South. They were relegated. And then we also have two new teams, the Santa Fe Suicune and the Saginaw Spiritomb. We both got two different S alliteration teams. Isn't that fun? We'll talk a little bit more about them when we get to them. So let's head over to the draft. We're going to start off with one of our new teams right off the bat. We've got Josh. I don't know if he wants to go by Josh or Kunga, I believe is what his Discord name is. We got Josh. This is his first time doing a singles draft for sure. I'm not sure what his familiarity is with competitive Pokemon, but best thing is he's excited about it, and that's what we love to see. We love people who are excited and committed to it. So his team got Excadrill, Grimmsnarl, and Dragapult. Doing that Fairy Steel Dragon Core. He also gets, like I talked a couple seasons ago, I put out those videos about the cores. He's got pretty much all of his cores. He doesn't have a fire type, though, which would finish out that fire, water, grass core. Got a grass type in Chestnut, poison, water type in Quillfish. He's also got Jupiter, but I'm not really going to count that as much because it doesn't do that. Let's head over to his team page, kind of do some analysis there. Honestly, I really like what he's got. The only type that he has more weaknesses against than, any resists or immunities is Fairy. So that's not honestly bad. And also I've come to the realization that it doesn't matter all that much. As long as you have a couple of solid resists, you should be fine. I think he's gonna be okay. This is a nice setup. Got a lot of Volt turn options. That's good. Ends up getting all the hazards. Got a couple of spinners. That's great. A little bit light on solid priority. Could end up being a concern for him. But overall, I really like what he's put together. The pieces go together really well. I think an argument you could make against his team is not super offensive. You have his most specially offensive Pokemon being Tatsugiri, and then followed by Jolteon and Dragapult. Jolteon and Dragapult aren't anything to scoff at, but they don't really have overwhelming special power. On the physical side, Dragapult I do think is a little bit underwhelming on the physical side, just because since it can't Terrasilize, it doesn't have a Ghost Stab outside of Phantom Force, which is really hard to make work, particularly in Draft League. Excadrill's a solid option. I expect him to bring Excadrill most weeks, along with the fact that he's got the Dawn with him. That's something I really like about this team. The fact that he's got multiple different routes he could go. He's got decent spikers, good toxic spikers. He's got sticky webs, so he's got those. He's got look at all the different look at all the dual screeners he has. He's got a lot of options as far as that goes. Hypno, Grimmsnarl, and Dragapult, all likely to run screens. And he's got Pokemon that can take advantage of it. Tatsugiri is shitty bulk, but it's a nasty plot up. And, it can Terrasilize into one of these types to gain coverage. I think that's helpful. Also, let's talk about Terra Captains. I'm not super blown away with his Terra Captains. I believe Darren helped him with these because he was busy getting Josh/Kunga. Let me know what your preferred vernacular is going to be here. Was getting his ACL, meniscus replaced, fixed up, whatever. So Darren ended up picking these for him. Hopefully it's not a conflict of interest because I don't even remember when they play each other. Hopefully not this week. That'd be weird, right? No, they don't play each other this week, so there we go. Yeah, I think I would like to see Tatsugiri maybe have not grass, maybe something to take advantage of the storm drain. Not fire. That's not a great one. Actually, fire's not bad. You can hit steel types with that, pretty solid. Kind of surprised not to see Dragon just get a super strong Draco Meteor. Wheezing, I think, yeah, Steel's really good there. You could probably go electric, so that way it would have no weaknesses. Would like to see that. Jupiter is more of a, like, he had the points to spend, and if you're going to spend them on anything between Jupiter and Hypno, I think you probably made the right choice on Jupiter, although I would have gone Ghosts. That way you could potentially Terrestrialize into a Ghost type to block a Rapid Spin. I think that's the route I would go. Although, if I'm really, splitting hairs here, wait, where's the draft? Here we go. I probably would have gone, like, Jolteon Tatsugiri or something, because that still totals 15 points, and then you can Terrestrialize Jolteon, which I think is a better route to go. In terms of his point structure there, I do think he has a lot of options of Terra Captains, which I think is good at the end of the day. Let's move on to the Grand Rapids Greninja hosted by Connor. He was bold and he took Darkrai. Excited to see what he can do with that there. He's got Deoxys. I think a lot of people told me Zeng was definitely going to take Deoxys, so we didn't end up seeing that. We'll see how that goes. Got a Alolan Ninetales, so he also has the Aurora Veil, so also a screens option. That paired with Latios, Darkrai, Deoxys. This guy's spent. And it shows on the back end of his draft. He's got Jumpluff, Porygon, Graveler. If Porygon and Graveler come to a combined one game, I'll be shocked. Jumpluff I could see coming. I do think that's probably one of those value picks in one. You got Ariados. Honestly, probably a pretty good value just in terms of Toxic Spikes and Sticky Web. I think that's a good shout. Also, just a funny thing for me, in my mind, Ariados's claim to fame is I remember I was seeing a thing that in like Gen 4, it was a Uber's Darkrai answer, because it gets Insomnia, and then it can kill it with, what did it use back then? Mega Horn, and then Sucker Punch after it knocked it down to its sash. So that's a fun thing for me, just in my head, that they're on the same team together. Honestly, a super threatening team. He's got good setup options. He's got good, like, power right out the gate. He got 135. Actually, he has a little bit of the same problem where he's got kind of, like, a little bit underwhelming special attack, but he does have a lot more top end in Darkrai. And I feel like Latios actually, like, that 110 is actually, it feels like it's stronger because of stuff like the new Mist Ball and Draco Meteor, obviously. Doesn't have a Spiker, but he has plenty of Rocks options. But he doesn't have a single Hazard Clearer. So I think that will probably be the biggest problem with his team. Like, if I'm going against him, I'm stacking hazards to the ceiling and just... I'm trying to get up as many hazards as I can, as safely as I can. Don't want to give him too many opportunities to set up. He has a little bit of a, the ground weakness, I think, is the biggest thing. He's obviously got the immunity in Latios, and he's got the immunity in Jumpluff. And I guess he's got a resist in Sceptile, but those are not, like, sturdy ground resists. I think that might be a bit of a problem for him. Otherwise, I don't really think a lot of these are huge problems, like slight rocks weakness, slight flying weakness, but honestly, like, a lot of the flying type mons are either using hurricanes or I can't really think of any big brave birders that are around. I'm sure we'll come across them. But this is a manageable type chart here. Good amount of priority. I think that's going to help him out a lot, especially if he can get some setup, and the webs are also going to help there. Which also something I want to point out about his hazard issue is he has Toxic Spikes and Sticky Webs. Those alone are going to encourage people to defog, right? So hazard stacking on his side is actually his hazard prevention, if that makes sense. Trying to clip through these. Let's see what we got next. We've got the Santa Fe Sweet Cone, another new addition. This is Michael. I don't remember who we had to recruit him. I actually want to say that's a Darren addition as well. Golden Go, Great Tusk, great pairing to start off with. Brings in Clodsire and Florges. I'm really loving these top 4. That's big. Excited to see Glastrier here. I think that's a really good call. Stacking up on ground types. 3 ground types out of his first 6 picks is a little weird. Nothing wrong with it. And he develops a bit of an ice weakness going on as he gets Altaria and Shiftry. But I'm a big fan of the Cerule Edge pick. Obviously, I'm biased there. Let's head over to this page, see what we got. Look, he's got hazard clearing. He's got hazards. Doesn't have sticky webs. Not a big deal. Doesn't have a lot of momentum on this team. Like, no U-turn, Volt Switch, or Flip Turn. That's surprising that you don't like accidentally get those. And due to our rules, he does have 3 different baton passers, but he can only bring 1 of them in a week because of the rules that we have. If you don't know why we do that, let me know. I'll explain it, but I'm not going to explain it here. Type chart doesn't look too bad. Like, a little bit steel weak, but he's got really solid steel resistant Golden Go and Cerule Edge. A little bit ghost weak. Only the one resistant Shiftry, and Shiftry's not sturdy. I do think that could potentially be exploited against him. Same thing with flying. He's got the really good resistant Golden Go, but again, I'm just gonna let's look at the draft board real quick. Any big flying threats that we need to worry about? Not Tropius. Rotom Fan, not really. I'm just gonna, in my head, eliminate flying as being like a big threat to most teams, because either they're relying on, like, there's not a lot of Brave Birders around this season, and also otherwise you gotta rely on Hurricane to be super scary. So, and it can be, but I don't think it is this time. So back to the Santa Fe Suicune. Let's see, like this ice is gonna be a volatile matchup in general, but he has solid resists, and again, Golden Go, Cerule Edge, Glastrier can actually take advantage of those ice types. And then the fire, he's got enough immunities. I'm not worried about it. He's got plenty of hazards, plenty of support moves. Like, I think the challenge he might face is that he's gonna have to do a lot of hard switching, and when you have to do a lot of hard switching as an inexperienced battler, you're gonna give up positioning. Like, you're going to give your opponent opportunities to set up, and they can also predict that since they know you have to switch, you don't have a way to soft switch. So something to look out for there. Next, we've got Zhang. Oh, I didn't talk about his Terra Captains. Glastrier is a Terra Captain. I like this. I probably wouldn't have gone with Ice just because I don't think Icicle like getting powered up Icicle Crash is not a big advantage. I like the flying option. And I like the steel option. Those are fine. I think I've seen fighting a lot in Ranbats, but that could be coloring my perception. Maybe fire or something. Or ground. Those could also be good additions. Toad Squirrel, I don't really know what to make of it. I probably would have thrown water on there just to deal with the ice resist problem. Also fire resist problem on Toad Squirrel in general. But overall, I like it. Zhang on the Minnesota Typhlosions. Talk about Terra Captains. He's the only person who chose Stellar, and he put it on all 3 of his mom. Really thought he was going to start out with some strong... I really thought he was going to go like Mono Dragon to start out. I love what Zhang's done with the team. He was bold enough to take Pecharunt when I think other people were kind of afraid to. And then he had to go kind of low, getting Toucan, Tropius, Komala, Cottony. He finally took... I'm happy to see Cottony here. I've been talking about it for enough seasons. Happy to see it. And then he threw everyone for a loop. I don't think anybody's surprised he took Torkoal. I don't think that's a big shock for people. But going Pelipper with this team really changes the dynamic. I think that's going to throw a lot of people off. I'm going to hop over to his team page here, but I feel like a lot of what I'm going to have to say is going to have to come with some grains of salt because of the way he put his team together. He's got a good amount of U-turn. Granted, he's got U-turn on Tropius and the Toucanon. Those things aren't coming that often. So But he still has a good amount of U-turn, obviously a solid Volt Switch and Flip Turn, and he's got it in his big 3 in Salamence, Raging Bolt, and Walking Wake. Not Salamence, Roaring Moon, that's humiliating. Little bit not so strong on the priority front, but that's not a huge issue. It's not a deal breaker. He's got webs, he's got rocks, and he's got rapid spinners. Those are great things to have. But I think what's going, and then the type chart, yeah, kind of rock weak. He's got the 1 resistant Duraludon, and then he's got these 5 weaknesses. Something to watch out for. That could be a problem for him. But what I am going to say is the team gets a lot of goodwill because of the fact that it's going to be running in rain and sun. I don't expect him to bring them like both super often. I think that's just hard to make work because you have, like, Walking Wake doesn't care about the weather. It's going to do well in the weather regardless. It's going to do better in the sun, but it can function in the rain too. Raging Bolt can function in either particularly well. Roaring Moon obviously takes big advantage of the sun. Araquanid also really likes the rain being up because of those water bubble boosted liquidations. But this team's going to be so offensive and such a threat, and people have to plan in such a different way. It's okay if you have shortcomings in other places. Like when you run a gimmick team, 90% of the time the gimmick is offense at the end of the day. This is a pretty heavy gimmick team. This is very weather dependent. So I think that, but Zheng has shown before that he has a lot of expertise with this sort of stuff. I think he's going to be fine. I poured myself a drink before this, and I've just been running through so fast, I haven't had time to take a sip, so I'm going to stop right now before we get to Kyle. Okay, so Kyle, the Los Angeles Kingdras. Did he play last season? If not, big return season for him. LA Kingdras are back. Got Meowscarada going number 1. Meowscarada is such a threatening mon. It's not like I think I might have likened it to Mega Manectric, or I also said this of Dragapult in past season. Meowscarada is not a Pokemon that's going to lead the league in KOs, but it is going to put so many Pokemon in positions. It's going to put so many teams in positions where they're ready to be swept. Just between knocking off, chipping stuff way down, pivoting out into better matchups. Meowscarada is going to be the catalyst for like an Archaludon sweep, or like a late game Ambipom sweep if a team's not ready, or a Chandelure sweep. I truly believe that. I think Meowscarada is one of those kinds of Pokemon. I should probably move this screen over a little bit so you guys can see more stuff. Ooh, I'm gonna have to readjust this too later. Someone remind me to do that. Slowking, obviously a nice slow pivot because of chilly reception, and that also supports the Alolan Sand Slash because he's going to be able to set up Hail. Primarina, absolutely huge threat. That's a big one. Gliscor, interested to see how it does in a format where it doesn't have Terastallization to fall back on. I really like the Mischievous pick. We've seen Kyle use Ambipom well in the past. Rotom Fan is a not a favorite of mine personally, but I get on paper that it's good. Excited to see Chandelure. Like, that's a huge threat. Archaludon, I'm excited to see Kyle use it. Plus, Archaludon's nice because he is in a league where there's rain. He didn't know that when he took it, but Archaludon's like an anti-rain Pokemon. And he's got Kricketune for good measure just to be able to get webs. Let's take a look at his team page. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good all across the board. I think the only place he's really lacking in is an elite physical attacker. His strongest physical attacker is Meowscarada. He's going to have to make the most of these terastallizations, or he might have to go out in free agency and find something that's going to help him break. Little light on the hazard clearing. Only has Rapid Spin on Alolan Sandslash. I think Alolan Sandslash is going to have to come to a lot of games, not only to provide a lot of the offense, but also provide a lot of that support. I also think that Kyle's going to want to take advantage of that Chilly Reception into Alolan Sandslash. I think that's going to be a key to success if he wants to break through some of the more specially defensive teams. Because if he can't break through on the special side, he's got to find a way to do it on the physical side, and I think Alolan Sandslash would be the way to go there. Also, I'm not going to ask Brett to do it, but I would be interested to see in the support section if there was Aurora Veil, but I don't know where you'd put it. Like, there's enough stuff going on here. Because I don't remember if Alolan Sandslash gets Aurora Veil. How's he looking on the type chart? Not so great on the Ghost front, but that seems to be a bit of a trend. And I think he could be better on the fire department. Look, that's a joke. We haven't seen too many big fire Pokemon so far on the list. I know there's one coming up later, but overall, this seems like a very manageable type matchup list. Got great options in terms of hazards. Got plenty of status to spread around. Knockoff, taunt, like he's gonna be fine there. But I think the things to watch out for with him are gonna be the hazard clearing potential weakness and the physical clearing weakness. Next, we're gonna move on to Papcoon. Let's reshuffle this a little bit. Let's try to get all the rest of the teams in here. There we go. Back half of the league here. Oh, let's back half of the league in terms of draft order, not in terms of skill, obviously. Jeez, guys are so sensitive. Oh, I didn't say anything about his Terra captains. Alolan Sandslash, I think he chose the right options here. Fairy to cover take advantage of the fighting weakness. Water takes advantage of the fire weakness. Ice just for an little extra boost. Ambipom I think is going to want to go normal more often than not, just because it's going to want to get those strong hits off. Fairy is good all around, and Ghost is just solid to give you some sort of a free opportunity from a fighting weakness. Also, I pointed out Zeng took Stellar. I'm really excited to see how he uses it. I don't think Stellar on paper is super good. So I think he's going to have to find a way to use it creatively. Interested to see what he does, but that's the name of the game with Zeng. After this, we've got Papcoon. I'm recording, right? Thank goodness. After this, we've got Papcoon. He went pretty heavy on the Sun. Gouging Fire, Scream Tail, Alolan Ninetales, Hisuian, Lilligant, and then also Hisuian Typhlosion. There's our Firemon that you got to watch out for, guys. Jesus. I think that's gonna be big. It's like when Papcoon takes on Kyle or some of the other Fire Weak teams. I think we've come across a couple. This is a big threat. Like, he can just put a Choice Scarf on there. That week he should definitely go Terra Fire. He doesn't have it here, but when he does, go Terra Fire and get the Sun up and go Choice Scarf and just click Eruption and just hurt things. I guess you can't do it against Kyle because he does have the Chandelure, but once that's out of the way, you're cooking, baby. Gouging Fire is super threatening. Having Ninetales to be able to give it free photosynthesis boosts is going to be a big help. I don't really think, from personal use of Scream Tail, that it really benefits from the weather too much. But hey, a stat boost is a stat boost. Hisuian Lilligant is super threatening. Excited to see what he does there. Porygon 2, oddly enough, the only duck he drafted. I'd like to see Ogerpon here. I'm excited to see what he can do with Ogerpon. Kind of fills a little bit of the same role as Hisuian Lilligant, so I do think he's going to struggle finding it on a team a lot of the time. I wouldn't be surprised to see him swap one of those out. And with the makeup of his team, I wouldn't be shocked to see Ogerpon go at some point during the season. He's very grass heavy, and honestly, he's got two expensive physical grass Pokemon. Alolan Golem I like. Appleton I'm also a big fan of. Let's take a look at this. Oh, I got to reposition for this. What a joke. Okay, so what do we see? Tail of the tape here. Typhlosion's the biggest special attacker he has. It's hard to find really reliable special attackers if you don't take them high. So something to look out for in the future if you feel that, just in general, if people feel that tends to be a problem for them. Also a little bit limited on clearing options, could be a problem for him. He's got plenty of rockers. The one spiker, but no toxic spikes, no sticky web. That's not a deal breaker, but I do think limited clearing options is something I'm seeing come up with a lot of people lately. Honestly, solid on the priority front. Doing okay on the pivoting front. I think that's probably why he's got Ogerpon around, because it's a grass type pivoter. Also, if he doesn't want to run Sun, it's probably better than Hisui and Lilligant. I don't know. That's debatable. Like, Victory Dance is very good. Type chart doesn't look too bad. A little bit of a dark weakness, a bit of a ghost weakness. Something to look out for. Those people have ghosts. He's got the immunity in Porygon too, which is going to become a lot. But hey, if it turns ghost type, man, does he have egg on his face. Overall, I think this is a solid team. It's by no means like a world beater here, but he's got the Sun and he's got things that can take advantage of it. Gouging Fire is incredibly threatening, and I urge people to watch out for it. Let's head back to the draft board. I don't have to change this. That looks fine. I'll have to move over a little bit to be able to get Darren and Tyler later, but we can talk about Dakota here. Dakota's team. So Dakota, this is both the two relegates are here in this spot here. Both of them got relegated. They're both right next to each other. He's got a really fun Boras core of Latios, Bisharp, Chansey, and then also seeing Zapdos here. Like, this is Gen 6, baby. And then with a couple of random Hisui, and Galar. But everything else is Gen 6 and Dugong. So let's talk about it. Latios, enormous threat. I want to see what he's going to do here. Luster Purge is very strong. He's got the Fairy Steel Dragon Core with Lottie, Weezing, and Bisharp. Hang on. He's also got a little Stall Core here. You combine that with Galarian Weezing. He's got really solid bulk that might be tough to break through for a lot of teams. Dugong, he was really excited to take Dugong. It's got some trapping sets that have potential. Which I think is going to be like a nice arrow in the quiver. Having trapping as an option is always good. By the way, talking about having trapping, I didn't mention Alolan Golem, which also does have Magnet Pull. Something not to be underestimated. I think he'll make good use of it at some point. So let's head over to his team page. That's a perfectly fine setup there. So, he doesn't have the problem of special attackers. Like, he's got Latios, Zapdos, very strong. Weirdly enough, Arcanine's his third best special attacker. Kind of weird that it also goes in that order for his speed tiers. But I digress. On the physical side, he's also got solid options in Cleavor and Bisharp. And Hisuian Decidueye is nothing to scoff at either. Type charts looking solid. I like everything he's got going on there. No big problems, I feel. Like, some people might look at the rock one and be like, that's a problem. But, you got Quagsire. Quagsire's going to be able to come in and soak up rock hits all day. Quagsire's not afraid of physically offensive Pokemon. Even though it only has 95, 85 Phys Def, it feels like a lot more. Talk about Chansey with its Clefable with its hidden stats. Quagsire's got him too, baby. Got a lot of defoggers, no rapid spinners. So we were talking about teams that don't have a lot of clearing options, but do have options to set up hazards. Dakota would be an example of a team where if you want hazards off your side of the field, you got to threaten them. Dakota can get around it because he knows it's a problem. He can run heavy duty boots or whatever, work on hazard prevention, because he's got taunters, and some of them are also defoggers, so that helps. But that would be the target team to go for. Plenty of switch initiative. I see a lot of Dugong in the priority section, so that concerns me as far as his priority options go. But overall, I like what he's got put together. I always get a little bit disappointed when I see such a retro team from people, when I see this is a team I would see somebody play out. Like, this is a team Dakota could have taken, most of these Pokemon. Like, swap Cleavor for a Scizor. This could be regular Weezing. Decidueye didn't exist. Assuming Decidueye doesn't exist yet, make that a Breloom. And this is just like a first 3 seasons looking team. That's always a little bit underwhelming to me. But I mean, the team's solid. Like, that's just a weird, dumb bias that I have. But I think it's on paper, I love how this team looks. Okay, back to the draft page. We got to scoot over a little bit to grab these guys here at the end. We've got Darren. Darren was the best team in the regular season last season, but came up short in playoffs, so finds himself in the South yet again. He's got Cresselia, Corviknight, Comfey, Dipplin, Brute Bonnet. Right off the bat, you can see these are all pretty slow, and you've got Cresselia being the premier Trick Roomer. I don't think that's outlandish to say. Hisuian Zoroark, super excited to see him use it. Always a problem for people. Aqua Ball and Cinderace, both huge threats. Piloswine, 7 points. Yeah, that's probably about where it belongs, but very good Pokemon. Electrode, I'm against Electrode. I'm anti-Electrode. But yeah, that's all there. By the way, Dakota didn't pick Terra types because he doesn't have a match week 1, so why would he pick his Terra types if he doesn't have to? Lots of fire here. I don't remember who he's facing in week 1, but I can guarantee you he looked at his matchup. Let's take a look. He's facing Connor. Did I say anything about Connor and his fire weakness? He's got a little bit of one. Definitely could be taken advantage of. Like I said, we'll see how that goes. But I like how you can tell just from like looking at that. Like he clearly thought about it. Okay, so let's check out his type chart. A little bit of flying weakness, but hey, we talked about it. Who cares? Otherwise, all green, baby. Only the one Rocker and Piloswine. And he's got, look, Rapid Spin and Defog on these two. Very solid. He's going to be able to keep hazards off the field. But this is just a hazardless game. Like, I feel like you could probably buy free turns against him by, like, it's more work for him to bring in Piloswine and Stealth Rock. And I think that is a tactic that could be taken advantage of and something that Darren has to watch out for. Only having the one hazard stacker, but while having super solid clearing, it's probably not even worth it for him to put up hazards. But that could be a problem for him. Like, because people aren't going to need to run boots, people aren't going to need to run clearing. That's options that they have that they don't have to like worry about, right? Great pivoting, plenty of U-turners, even flip turners and volt switchers in the mix. And honestly, like, these are all solid priority users, not quick attack, because like people don't really use quick attack. But also, hey, because of Libero, that's stab quick attack and that's stab sucker punch. These are solid priority users, and he's got a few options, so that's good. I like what he's got going on here. And if last season is any indication about Darren's performance, I think he's going to do very well. Back over the draft board, we're going to talk about Tyler's team. Tyler, he ended up making a change and dropping Lantern, picking up Braviary. But man, he's not afraid to take electric types, is he? Electric types, fighting types, just big punchy boys. Oh, by the way, I have my cursor here on one of those aforementioned flying types that I don't think many people were scared of. He also took Fezandipity. Excited to see what Fezandipity can do, because I think I've talked about it a bunch. I don't know what this mon is designed to do. Let's head over to his team page and do a little bit of a breakdown. Psychic weakness, not something you see very often. Ground weakness, kind of to be expected with so many electric types. Flying weakness we talked about. Fire weakness a little bit. Not the best hazard setting options, but he's got a Rocker, he's got a T-Spiker, he's got a Sticky Webber, only the one Defogger. So that was also one of the reasons he made those changes, because he realized he didn't have a Defogger and he needed one, and he went out and got a solid one in Braviary. It's going to find options and opportunities to do that. Obviously, he's got Volt Switchers, right? And he's got plenty of U-turners. He's going to be able to find himself in advantageous situations. I think it's great that Tyler has these, because he has a tendency to not hard switch like ever. We've seen him and other coaches, they're very aggressive. They just get their Pokemon in and they stay and they attack. And I think having U-turn Volt Switch, so that way you don't have to give up like a full turn. You can just U-turn out, get some damage, Volt Switch out, get some damage, and maybe even take advantage of a switch. That's fantastic for him. Also, look who loaded up on priority. So many quick attackers, and Glaceon and a solid Ice Sharder. That's a throwback joke to something. But he's got some It's weird. Grassy Glide's not on the priority list. Again, not asking Brett to put it on there because it's not particularly prevalent, and really Rillaboom is the only Grassy Glider. Okay, Rillaboom. That's a fun joke. It's not particularly clever, but I enjoyed it. But I think that in terms of Terra options, Poison feels super weird. Magneton, I don't know why you wouldn't go with Flying, but like Psychic's super weird there. And he also has a little bit of the not very good special attackers vibe. Like Magneton, I think is really good. Glaceon, it's got a high number, but that's really all it's got going for it. He's got plenty of physical attackers. Physical attackers, I feel like, are far easier to come by. Okay, but that is done with the South. This is what I'm listening. How much time we got? Oh wow, I've burned through 34 minutes. Got to keep clicking along. So changes made to the North. Hang on, another drink. Okay, changes made to the North. Obviously, we had Zane and Drew get called up, get promoted after their stellar performance last season. And then we had former 3-time back-to-back to face, because that's how it would work if you were all standing in a row. Uh-oh, my phone's ringing, so I gotta pause this. So that was Logan, who was, forcing me to record this, and interrupts it. How dare he? So let's scoot this over a little bit. Thank you. And then obviously we had, because, if you're standing front or back to back, and then if there's a third person, they're going to be to face. So you got to figure that out. But 3-time champion Zach has returned with the New York Aqua Jets. So here we are in the North. Let's hop into the draft. So I got to go first through no fault of my own. It was forced upon me. First, Drew took fourth, and then Zane took second, and then I think Zach took all the way at the other end of the wheel, and then Curtis went. I don't know why nobody wants the number 1 pick. I kind of do, because I was forced into a weird position, because I wanted Raging Bolt, but I definitely couldn't wait until the second round to take it, which I ended up getting a little bit of a snipe because of that. You got to draft in kind of a weird way if you're at the wheel, but hey, you definitely get to take one of the things you want. And I did. I really wanted Raging Bolt, and I got him. I got Skarmory. I think it's just a real solid Fizz-Def wall. Alolan Ninetales. By the way, I like how these two match up weakness-wise. Alolan Ninetales, be able to set up Aurora Veil, always a good option, especially with a team as offensive as mine. Like I said, happy to get it. Ceruledge, Articuno, Galar, probably one of the Terramons I'm really excited to use. Overquill I like. Clawwitzer is decently powerful. Great Tusk just hanging around at the end of the draft, and I wanted to get a solid spinner. Blossom might be able to take advantage of this Aurora Veil. Sandslash, same thing. And then Oinkologne. I had 2 points, and hey, that seems fun. Let's head over to my this board here. Not looking good on the ground. Actually, no, I got two immunities and a resist. I'll be fine against ground types. I don't know. This seems wrong to me. Rock. I got hurt by rock, but I got a great rock resist and great tusk. And then everything else is fine. My priority could be a little bit better, but I got plenty of hazard stackers. Got 2 solid spinners. I think I can bring a lot of the time. My switch initiative's not great, but I think I can work with it. But this is a very offensive team. It's going to find opportunities to set up and go. I don't think there's, off the top of my head, there's not a ton of unaware Pokemon in the league, and no Ditto in the North, so that's nice for me. So yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Trying not to be too biased against or for myself. After that, we've got Curtis. And I have Terra Captains for reasons that I think are pretty obvious based on how I chose them. Actually, how do I justify this? I don't think I have a justification other than like Fairy's good, right? Okay, after that, we've got Curtis, Urshifu, and Gengar. Love those two together. That's a fucking big threat. And then you throw Hoopa Unbound in there. It's just like spamming Dark and Psychic attacks. Gonna be a problem for teams. Incineroar. Maybe not as good in singles, definitely as it is in doubles. I love seeing Smeargle around. Got a good spinner in Cryogonal like this. He definitely spent up front, and I think he managed his points well in the back. I think he found value in these tiers. And we talked about it before. This is another team that's got a lot of nice combinations of things they can do with Terra Captains. Because he's got a lot of different varieties of numbers down here, right? So he could do like Cryogonal, Raichu, Altaria, or he could do like, I guess you can't do Smeargle with anything, but mostly why would you? Like you could do a Smeargle Sceptile, right? You can afford that. I like these options. These are solid. His Terra type's Dragon Flying. I mean, he just went with the stabs and then Fairy because it's good. Might want to see a Steel in there to take advantage of the incoming, like the Dragon, Fairy, and Ice types coming in at you. You get a resist out of it. Sceptile, solid. Raichu, solid. Maybe I'd throw Water in there since you have Lightning Rod. Now you're only weak to Grass types. But nitpicking. That's what I'm doing here. Zane's team is super scary. Sneasler, Rillaboom, big threat. Oh, that's something Tyler had that I didn't go to Curtis's page. That's humiliating. Weaknesses he's got. He's got quite a few red columns here, but none of them are too worrisome. Like maybe the Fairy's going to be a problem because everyone and their grandma's going to be terrestrializing Fairy because it's a good type, right? Ooh, super light on the hazards. Don't bother running boots or clearing against this guy, because if he takes a turn to set up, like a lot of teams have a grounded poison type, so these toxic spikes aren't scary from Gengar. So don't need to bother running boots or clearing, right? Like it's not a problem really, especially if you have a grounded poison type. Switch initiative's fine. He doesn't have it on a ton of mounts, but he's got it on some of his core ones. I think that's good. Not a ton of priority. Plenty of support. Look at all those mons. I mean, granted, most of them are like Raichu, and then screens on Hoopa, who's gonna run that really. But he's got a lot of good top end strength. I mean, especially in Hoopa Unbound. This is gonna be another really offensive team. I like how he structured it. I expect to see Smeargle in the majority of games. Oh, yeah, that Smeargle's his hazard setter. I'm dumb. Oh, jeez. Yeah, Smeargle gets hazards. So, ignore what I said before. Smeargle gets hazards. Yeah. Smeargle's definitely coming to the majority of games, with that being said. Okay, back to the draft board. So Zane's got a really threatening team. We talked about Sneasler, Rillaboom. Screamtail's a little bit passive. Could be a problem on a team that I think looks pretty fast-paced like this is. We have those two, and then Suicune also slows stuff down. Evangel's a solid lead that'll give you those sticky webs, but everything else is so much offense. And he's got Trapinch, who I really like because I like trapping. I like seeing that. I think he's going to find good opportunities to get rid of things that would otherwise slow down Sneasler and Rillaboom. I think that's the big thing this Trapinch is going to give. Also, things that bother Ursaluna Blood Moon. Blood Moon was a late addition to his team. He obviously had a lot of points to spend. And I know this is a big snipe from the Marini. They were planning on taking it. So it was a hard snipe. I like what this team's got going on. A lot of good special attackers between Magmortar and Ursaluna Blood Moon. Good physical attackers from Sneasler and Rillaboom. Good bulk from Screamtail and Suicune. Hazard prevention and Hatterum. Trapping here. He's got a lot of gadgets. Let's see how the chart shook out. Got a little bit of a rock weakness. Nothing to be worried about because otherwise all green across the board. Good hazard options. Solid clearing options. Look at all that switch initiative. I would say like not super great priority options because these guys are not clicking Aqua Jet. Maybe this guy is. Who cares about Quick Attack and Vacuum Wave for that matter? But he's got the priority personified in Scizor. Scissor's. Oh, this is the wrong fucking team. These are in the wrong order. So all the things I said, just we're gonna apply that later to save some time, not repeating it. Jesus, I'm dumb. Is there anything else I needed to say about that though? Yeah, no, I think I covered everything. So I'm not editing it, but when I talk about that team, jeez. Okay, he's got some red here. What are we worried about? Ice a little bit. A lot of things bring ice. Fire, not a lot of. 0 flying resists. When you have 0 flying resists, that will be a concern. Like, you need to have some sort of reason for people not to spam that against you. Because also there's good cause for someone to bring a flying type that isn't really that scary and then put Terra flying on it and then start to become scary. I don't like Stealth Rock on Trapinch being such a predominant option, and I think that Screamtail has 4 move slot syndrome pretty bad, so having spikes there is going to be annoying. And he's only got the 1 defogger, but he's got a magic bouncer, so I'm not going to take too much away from him. What Zane's got going on with this team, I do think he may struggle with the hazard war a little bit. But also, I bring up hazards a lot, and maybe it's not a fair thing to bring up because I feel like I don't see a ton of hazards come out in Draft League. Maybe that's just a trend in our league, I'm not sure, but it's just something I've noticed. So maybe I'm blowing these out of proportion. I'm going to spend less time on hazards unless it's particularly noteworthy. Solid priority here. Vacuum Wave on Ursaluna Blood Moon's actually pretty important. I think you could probably see Shiftry bring it every once in a while. Sucker Punch on Shiftry, also very good. Quick Attack on Trapinch is worth mentioning because I think you could probably see it pick off a couple of Pokemon here and there. Also, First Impression. It's got the same base attack as Flygon. Like, I don't think it's unreasonable to, like, at one point make this your Terra Captain and go Terra Bug and just really hurt something with First Impression. I think that's a legitimate route you could go. There's Zane's team. We already talked a little bit about Drew's team, but let's take a look at the draft board, see what he has here. He obviously went Gouging Fire up top, making a statement like, be afraid of me, and then he got a whole bunch of support Pokemon for it. I really love that. Saved his big spending till later on. There's another thing that I like seeing because it gives the rest of the league less time to kind of react to the big threats in the league, because if you're taking them late, they didn't see them. They didn't know about them. Another drink, hang on. Okay. Crocodile Scizor, big threats. Big threats. Really like that. Primarina, another big threat. And then we already talked, but Alamola, Toadscroll, Quillfish, not a big fan of those ones, but those are bit players, right? Kilowattrel, I think, is really gonna be good overall. It's a Pokemon I've always wanted to take, but I keep taking other electric types. So I'm excited to see what he does with it here. It was kind of a toss-up whether or not we were gonna Terra ban it, so let's see what he does with it. We already talked about his team page. Not really much to go over here that I haven't already said. So let's move on to Logan and the Alabama Crimson Hive. And let's see, hope he doesn't so rudely interrupt me again. Same thing as Dakota. He didn't pick his Terra Captains because he's not playing this first week. So we didn't need to bother with it, right? Work smarter, not harder. Took Latios right off the bat. We talked about how big of a threat Latios is. And then he also followed up with Ogerpon, Hearthflame. Physical and special sides, just ways to threaten things. Ogerpon is going to kind of draw in dragon types because, you know, dragon types and I guess fire types. Because they're going to resist the moves it can, like its primary stab moves. It's going to be able to weaken those. Maybe make some room for Lottie. Also, Lottie's going to invite in like dragon, steel, fairy types. Ogerpon can come in on the steel and fairy types with little retribution because it resists those types. Adds Klefki for solid spikes options. Snorlax took it pretty high on Snorlax. I'm excited to see what he does with that. We haven't seen Snorlax make much of a splash. I was gonna say no pun intended, but there was no pun, so haven't seen Snorlax make much of a splash lately. Here's the other guy who took Pecharunt. I think that'll be an interesting pairing with Snorlax. So Snorlax is obviously going to invite a lot of fighting attacks. Pretty free switch in for Pecharunt to kind of do its thing. Lantern, fan favorite, lost a lot, but price tag went down. If Lantern still had Heal Bell and Toxic, this thing would be worth at least another 2 points. Mudsdale, solid Pokemon that just gets up rocks and slows down physical offense. Like a surprisingly defensive team from Logan I'm seeing. Regice, wish it got Freeze Dry. Carbink, honestly really good value at 2. I didn't realize it was at 2. I think this is kind of a steal. Enamorus, we saw him use it last season. I should have really lumped it in with Ogerpon and Latios with what it can do. This Pokemon, if it could Terrasilize, would be hugely problematic, but now it would only be a little bit problematic, right? Morpeko, I think pretty underrated as a spinner and pivoter, and honestly just decently strong mon. Also, fun fact, with Morpeko, if you Terra either electric or dark, then the Aura Wheel doesn't switch types. So that's fun. Let's take a look at his page here. Weakness-wise, we've got a lot of people stacking up on Rock. That might be something people want to watch out for. He's got a lot of ground weaknesses, but he does have the 2 immunities in Enamorus. I don't remember, let me look real quick, if anybody took Excadrill in this draft, because Mold Breaker would be interesting. I don't see, oh, there's an Excadrill. Oh, crap. You can't see it on the screen, but I know who has it, and so do you, because you guys have access to this document. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Hazards, decent. Clearing, not so much. Really not so much. Low on the priority front. Potentially exploitable. Honestly decent pivoting options. I think those are good. He's solid there. Probably would like to see another Toxic, but you got a Actually, does it not get T-Spikes? Pecharunt should get T-Spikes. I'm going to talk to somebody about that, see if we can make that happen. But I think this team has flaws, but Logan is that's his thing to go take a kind of flawed team and just kind of perform really excitingly with it, for sure. And also pretty well. He's a perennial playoff contender. And former champion. Does he have a star? Yeah, there's his star. Oh, you can't see his star in his logo. There's a star right there. There's a star. For those people who are new and may not be familiar, you get to have a star in your logo when you win a championship. So we'll cover that in a future episode. No, we won't. I'm lying. New England Patriots, very good team name. I like it a lot. Garchomp, Deoxys, those are your expensive boys. Garchomp, very good, still very threatening. It's got that scale shot. Something to watch out for. Took Corviknight and Florges, very good Fairy, still Dragon Core. Expensive overall, but I think really good way to spend your points, right? Took Florges 2 seasons ago, made it to the finals. Will we see it again? Did he have Garchomp that season too? I feel like he might have. Passimian, really solid Pokemon. The fact that it's got access to Terrasalization really opens it up for its options. We're going to see Ogerpon Wellspring taken here. I'm excited to see what Wellspring's going to do. I actually think it's a really good type here. I think it's very exploitable. And just having a water immunity on your team is nice, especially when you are going to having water attacks from Arcanine. These two, I think, are going to have an annoying amount of synergy, right? Arcanine's very strong and is honestly going to break holes in a lot of things that Garchomp wants out of the way. Arbolive is a nice pick. I like that Pokemon. Hisuian Avalugg, I think he's going to be able to make better use of it on the weeks that he is able to Terra with it. Rotom Fan, I talked about Rotom Fan before. Should have been Flying Terra, and then also have an Air Balloon. Rabsca cannot use Revival Blessing, please remember that. But I think it's still a solid Pokemon that also, he's got kind of a little hidden trick rumors here. He doesn't have a very trick room exploity team. I think we're most likely going to see Deoxys Defense be setting up hazards and screens and being generally annoying, as opposed to being a trick room setter. Although, to be fair, let's head over to his team page and see if it's denoted here. Yeah, one of the few users of teleport in the league is Deoxys. So a little bit weak on the special side. Arbeliva being his best special attacker could be something that he's got to watch out for. Plenty of good physical attackers, but that's been a trend. Weak on the fire side. Ice is fine. There's that ghost and rock again. It seems like it's just really easy to be weak to ghost, rock, flying, and also in this season in particular, fire. It's almost like ghost, rock, and flying are very good offensive types that are hard to make, that they've intentionally balanced. And then there's ice too. Talked about that. Extreme speed, quick attack. So not super solid on the priority front. Pretty solid on the hazard stacking front. Clearing, you've got Corviknight. Corviknight's going to keep away hazards, not a problem. Plenty of U-turners and volt switchers, I like that. I think this team is looking good. I definitely think this has a lot of the building blocks you want. No clear gimmick or anything. No clear, like, this is why this Pokemon's here to help out this Pokemon. But just like, I mean, obviously, like, the Fairy Steel Dragon Core, big. Like, that's very much at the forefront with this team. And we talked a little bit about Ogerpon and Hisuian, but just solid stuff. I think the downside to his team is you're going to see a lot of Ogerpon, Garchomp, Deoxys Defense, Arcanine, Florges, Corviknight. You're going to see very little, maybe some Passimian mixed in there. I feel like you're going to see very little of these three, which might, especially since these are three of the Pokemon that can Terra on your team, might make the team a little bit not dynamic. I mean, and the thing is, it's nothing against Jabron as a coach, and it's nothing against these Pokemon in general. It's just these guys are so good and have so much synergy. That you're almost, I feel like you're gonna take them more often than not, and I don't know why I see that. I think maybe I'm seeing that more of a problem because I feel like we saw Jabron do this a lot in his last couple seasons, where he's got like 7 or 8 Pokemon that he uses primarily and then kind of discards the rest. We'll see if that holds true. Maybe that was just a flash in the, like, that was just a trend that'll go away. But we gotta scoot down the screen a little bit by dragging this idiot. We've got the creator of the doc, privateer of the doc. He's pieced together a lot of things. He collated the doc in a very nice manner by stealing things from other places that have done it well, and thank God he did, because you guys have seen what it used to look like. Seattle Marine I've talked a lot about Meowscarada earlier in the video. Very good. Quaquaval is going to accidentally sweep a bunch of teams. Metagross. I know Metagross got some buffs. I'm not as high on it as other people are, but I think it's still solid. Serendipity. Brett, please show me how to use this. I just need to know what it does. Completed the trio on Crocolore. Flygon's really going to make good use of these Terras. I'm curious about Grass. I'm guessing it has something to do with whoever his first week opponent is. Who's to say, though? Thundurus T, big threat. Brett kind of popularized Piloswine back in season like 10, right? And then Hatterene with the rest of his team. And he's got Kricketune rounded out. He's got a lot of really good things about this team. I don't feel like he has any big, like, standout superstar threats, but Meowscarada weakening things and then Quaquaval and Thundurus cleaning up is going to be a trend. I guarantee it. I guarantee you're going to see Quaquaval get double-digit KOs along with Thundurus. I just don't see a way around it. Maybe the low-tier Terra really skews things in a way I wasn't expecting, but I'll tell you, that's what I'm expecting to happen. Take a look at his team page. Look at that. He's got red blocks on Flying, Rock, and Ghost. You know what? I keep bringing up Ghost like it's a real problem, but man, just nobody has a lot of Ghosts. Like we saw, what's it called? We saw Gengar not too long ago. Golden goes in the other league. I don't think it's in this league. So it may not be too much of a problem. He's got decent hazard clearing options, decent hazard stacking options, plenty of switching, switch initiative, pivoting. Look at all that support. Look how many Pokemon's faces are in there. And honestly, come on, get out of here. I wish Quick Attack wasn't. If I was, yeah. But like these five, the first impression from Flygon, is I think going to be pretty good. Obviously, these guys have very good priority, going to make good use of it. Sucker Punch, always stab, unless it changes types first on Meowscarada. Meowscarada is going to do very well. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You see Brett's got himself as rank 1 here. I think that's primarily because of how he finished last season, but I expect that to be true a decent chunk of the season. You know, somebody might give him a run, who's to say. Back to the draft board. I'm going to talk about the Washington Commanders, the new logo. I think I like the old logo better personally, but here's our other Sun team, not Fire team. But this is where people are going to be having to deal with the fire attacks coming out. He's got so many things that take it. Torkoal is contractually obligated to come to 8 games this season minimum. Because Walking Way, Venusaur, who talks like that? Venusaur, Sandy Shocks, Charizard, Slitherwing, all benefit from Sun in a way that's like, since you have them and you have the option of Sun, you can't not bring it. You need to protect Torkoal at all costs. That being said, I do think he's going to find a problem in that, and let me show you why. Let's hop over to his team page. Though the weaknesses are the ones that we have across the entire league. It is surprising to see a Psychic weakness pop up because it's so easy to accidentally cover a Psychic weakness. He obviously has the immunity in Bisharp, but he doesn't have any other Steel types, any other Psychic types, which I feel like there's another type I missed. Any other Dark types. Psychic doesn't hit a lot of things super effectively, but it's one of those things where you're gonna run into instances where you're like, ooh, I'm a little short on Psychic resistance. It'll happen. But anyways, the reason he's gonna need to protect Torkoal at all costs, and it might be to the detriment of his team, is because look how important Torkoal is. You're not on Sandy Shocks, you might waste a spot on a hazard because you're running Earth Power, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and you can't Terra it, so that's all you're running. Maybe you squeeze in Power Gem one week, but you probably have a spot for a hazard. But Torkoal needs to run Spin every week, and if it's running Heat Rock, it can't run Heavy Duty Boots. That's going to be a problem for it that he needs to address at some point. I don't think this team has the bandwidth to function without Sun, just because it's so offensive. Like, you need the Sun to bolster those offenses. If you don't have switches, you need to threaten things. This is not a team that works outside of Sun. I don't care that Glaceon's here and is kind of bulky. I know Torkoal's bulky, but like I said, you need to protect it. Venusaur is not bulky. Mega Venusaur is bulky. And sure, you have manual Sun and Whimsicott, but clearing is going to be the problem because you're gonna want to run the Heat Rock on this guy, and I get it, but might be hard. Priority wise, he's got solid priority options with Bisharp. Shadow Sneak here I don't think is to be underestimated, really don't. First impression is gonna hurt things. Aqua Jet's never coming out. Vacuum Wave won't pop up either. What's this thing special? Yeah, 65. No, nothing. No, please get out of here. I think this team has so much potential, but it's going to come down to how he's able to protect Torkoal and still help the Sun help the Sun thrive, right? If he can play that Sun style very well, and he can protect his Torkoal. Maybe he just has so much offensive pressure people don't get a chance to set up hazards. That could be the case. Something to watch out for, though. Only got one more team to talk about here. I did run a little bit longer than I wanted to, but we're going to wrap it up with the three-time champ and returning New York Aqua Jets, coached by Zach. And he took a unsurprisingly very good team. I was totally expecting him to take Heatran after Dragapult Clefable. Like, that is such a what's the word? Like, iconic core in Draft League. And followed up with Electivire and Serena. He said he was going to make some changes because he thought he had more points for Terra Captains. I think he might have been expecting to go these two as his Terra Captains. But ended up not making those changes. Amapom, talked about it before. I like it. Suing Quillfish, underrated pick. I probably would have taken it at the Overquill spot. Would have saved me a point. But I really like the Suing Quillfish pick. Moltres doesn't have Defog anymore, which makes it worse, like considerably so. Gastrodon, love Gastrodon. I think it's an awesome choice here. Having it be able to terrestrialize fire and ground, I think, are really cool for it. Also grass, because it can just hard resist those grass type attacks that are going to come at it. Tauros Aqua, excited to see what he can do with this. I don't feel like we saw the Tauroses get used too much. Excadrill's back and he paired it with Hippopotas. I don't remember what season he did this in before. I want to say it was season like 15 or 16. We've seen this pairing before. He knows how to use it. Hippopotas is not to be joked with, especially when there's an Excadrill around. And then he took Munchlax, which, no joke, considered Munchlax as a 1-point pick. It's got really good HP and not terrible special defense. I think this is a really interesting pick. I'm excited to see what Zach's going to do with it. Let's head over to his team page for final analysis here. Ground, yeah, maybe a little bit of a problem because I really don't think he's going to want to bring Moltres that much. Serena, that's another hazard clearing option for him to take the pressure off of Excadrill. Those are his only clearers. Plenty of hazard setters. He's at no shortage of Stealth Rock abusers. Ice, he's got good enough resist in Tauros. And Munchlax's another interesting one because I really like these thick fat mons that can Terra. I think that's a really nice thing. But look at all the green. Like, some teams have some green and some red. This is so much green. Like, he's got 3 things that he's neutral against, 2 things that resist. That's just 2 big solid green bars. I really love it. Not super strong on the priority front, but that's not a big problem. Plenty of pivots, like just a really well put together team. I'm excited to see what Zach does in his first season back. I'm hoping he's bothered by trying to focus on the doubles league. Really, what I'm hoping for. But I think that's going to bring us to the end of this. Let's just pop in and look at our schedule here. So we've got Mike versus Zane. What are we going to call that? That's Sun versus Sun versus fucking Breakers. Honestly, like, Zane's in good positions to take advantage of the Sun too. So I'm excited to see what he can do there. We talked about how he doesn't have a lot of hazard options. So that's honestly probably like a good spot for Mike. I like to see that. They both have benefits there. Gibran versus Curtis. I hope this is, let's see. See if I can scoot this over so we can see both of them. Oh, geez. I'm competent, guys, I promise. There, now you can see both of them. Gibran versus Curtis. What do we like in here? That Fairy Steel Dragon Core is annoyed by Urshifu, but also he's got to watch out for the Rocky Skin on Garchomp. Ooh, I love Gengar's matchup here. Oh boy. Oh, you know what? Urshifu is gonna have to run into Ogerpon. So that'll be an interesting thing. Water Absorb only activates once, unfortunately. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here. That's a cool matchup. And then I know the other one is me versus Drew. Let's see if I can... There you go. You can see both of us. Gouging Fire is a very scary Pokemon. We're super excited to have Raging Bolt here. And then Michael, like I said, I like thick fat Monza Quintera. Not saying anything. That's all I'm saying with that. But Saraledge, I think, has some really nice matchups in here in terms of the immunities that it brings. What's he have going on? Honestly, like Azelf plus Gouging Fire, you know, ground types are going to come in against Gouging Fire. You don't want to give Azelf free switches in. It's a big, scary thing. And then, so what's the other option? What's the last matchup there? Oh, Zach and Brett. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, Zach and Brett. I mean, this is a playoff caliber matchup that we're getting to see early in the season. What do we like here? Masquerada, Dragapult, two great Mons in League format. Aquaval, what are you gonna be doing here? Oh man, I bet you Zach probably wishes he had chosen Ghost as a type on Gastrodon. Because I'm kind of expecting to see Tauros Aqua have to come in his place. Crocolore, I don't think is going to be getting a lot of playing time this week. But, ooh, I was wondering why the grass. And the grass also serves another purpose due to a Mold Breaker Mon on the other team. I love this matchup. That's something I'm going to look forward to seeing with the Terra choices. And seeing the little intricacies that come out there. Anyways, super excited for this season. I know we had a lot of changes, requires a little bit more administrative work from people. Oh, I should look at the South. This is racist of me. Not racist. That's got nothing. Race has got nothing to do with this. Schedule. I think we talked a little bit about these. Tyler versus Papcoon. What do we got here to break down? Oh goodness gracious, guys. I'm sorry. It's ugly. I'm gonna fix it. Tyler versus Papcoon. I'm sorry. Oh god. There we go. There. Tyler versus Papcoon. What do we got to look forward to? How's Sneasler looking this matchup? Solid. Grounded. Like, yeah, Gouging Fire I think is gonna have a really good time if it can get set up quickly, which I do think it's gonna be able to. Yeah, I really like Papcoon's matchup in this. Like, the thing is, like, Tyler, the biggest advantage he has is he's got a lot of threats, and he's unpredictable. Like, you can make a really solid game plan with Papcoon's team, and I'm kind of doing it in my head right now versus Tyler. But you're going to have to throw that game plan out the window, because he's not going to react to anything the way you think he's going to react. So keep that in mind. Back to the schedule, we got Kyle versus Josh. I feel like we actually talked about this a little bit, but God, it was so long ago. Who can keep track? So, how's Kyle deal with Drill? Pretty well. He's got a Gliscor for crying out loud. His Fairy type Supreme Arena, that's going to have solid options. Tatsugiri, doesn't have the best matchup in the world. I think it might be hard for Josh to get going here, but I mean, Kyle's team is dominoes, okay? When one of these, he's got some important Pokemon that are linchpins for this team, and if one falls unexpectedly, if he has some bad luck, his team's gonna crumble. I think we saw it in season 10 or 11, I want to say. He had a Mew that got crit early in the game, and he had no way to recover. And Kyle builds his teams that way, unfortunately. Like, he builds them so perfectly. Like, it's the perfect 6 Pokemon combination. But you're not always playing the whole game with 6 Pokemon. It's something to keep in mind. What else we got? Darren versus Connor. That is, unfortunately, spread out teams. Let's see if we can... I can't get them both in the same shot, okay? It's just not going to happen. So we're going to look at... So, Darren, how does Connor want to deal with that? Oh, he's got oh, this is Cresselia versus Darkrai. That's kind of fun. I'm not going to dive into it more than that because I really do have to wrap up here. We'll take one more look at the schedule. Zeng versus Michael. Ooh, Michael, welcome to the league. That's oh Jesus, I didn't mean to drag this. This is humiliating. Oh my God, Brett, please don't fire me. Oh, they're right next to each other. I'm trying to fucking organize shit for no reason. Michael's got some things that can take advantage of Sun just as well as Zhang's team does. But Zhang has a little bit of that Tyler in him where he's super unpredictable, and you have one of the better fairy types in the league in Florges. Got to make sure that stays safe. And he's got ways to deal with both the Sun and he's got a Cloud9 Pokemon, actually, so that's another benefit. He's actually... Oh, geez, I don't have it framed up right, but he's actually pretty well equipped. So I'm looking forward to that match, too. Okay, hopefully you guys got what you wanted out of this. Thank you all for listening. I'm sorry this is a little bit haphazard. Been a pretty busy week at work, but I wanted to get this out to you because I want to try to commit to making this more often. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.